guys, I'm Irene. This is Perpetually Paperback, and today I'm going to be talking about the worst books I've read in 2021 so far. I hope everyone is doing really well. I hope you are reading splendid books and that you are having a great reading year. Honestly, I can't necessarily say I'm having a particularly good reading year. I think for the most part, a lot of what I've read is just kind of like middle of the road. There have been very few standouts, which has been kind of good. The bad ones also haven't particularly been that bad. So some of these these aren't terrible books. I don't think I've particularly ranted about any of them but one, I think. And no, that's not true. I definitely ranted about two. The others are all just they're okay. So I'm going to do the ones I thought were kind of okay and the ones that I found a little bit more offensive towards the end. I'll put timestamps down at the bottom as far as if you want to switch around and see what I have to say about each of the individual ones. So I'm going to talk about today Scot in the Dark by Sarah MacLean, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, The Mermaid of Jeju by Sumi Hahn, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and The Midnight Library by Haig. So the first book I'm going to talk about is going to be the one I just finished recently, and it's The Midnight Library. And I know this one's a bit surprising because so many people loved it. There was no real problem with the story. The concept I thought was better. It basically follows Nora, who decides at one point that she doesn't want to live. And when she tries to kill herself, she wakes up in the Midnight Library where she encounters this librarian that helps her navigate her regrets and the different scenarios that she could possibly take in her life. This book deals with depression, obviously suicide, and kind of what the meaning of life is, or the meaning of life is somewhat what you make it. The concept I thought was fine. I thought it was kind of predictable. I thought the character was totally one-dimensional. Actually, not kind of predictable. You knew exactly what was going to happen in the end, and I think this is a case of someone that just didn't make it particularly interesting. I got tired of, each book is a different life that she could have possibly had, and I think it dragged on a little bit too much for me. Also, I thought the book was really beautiful and desperately boring. Just so boring. I heard this one on audio because it was a book club pick, and I apparently start these way, way too late. I noticed that so I don't usually like to speed up my audio. I am maybe if I go to 1.2, that's like a big thing. If there's a real slow narrator that's very breathy, I might speed it up a bit. But in general, I don't speed this up. I was listening to this at 1.75. I just wanted to get through it, so badly. Caveat to that though, Carey Mulligan was a fantastic narrator for this book. I thought she did, I really pictured her. If this was a movie, I could have, I saw her 100%. So I actually really did enjoy her as a narrator. I just wish I liked the book a little bit more. Next book I'm going to talk about is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This book, I think the thing that bothered me about this is that for me it started with so much promise. It basically it follows these two women. One of them is in the late 1800s or something like that, and she's an apothecary who specializes in helping women kill men with her tinctures and potions and things. She then develops she ends up getting this little apprentice, and there's this whole murder plot that happens there. Then there's this other girl named Caroline, I think, who's set in present day, and she is going through some issues with her personal life, and she's in London trying to kind of find her life again. Their paths do connect in some way. I thought this one started off with so much promise. The beginning of this book was super interesting. I couldn't put it down. And then all of a sudden I was starting to find that the story never really came together. And then towards the end, it was I don't know if she just wanted to finish it, or it felt very okay, we needed to create something here to tie them together. And the tie I didn't think was strong enough. There's also certain characters that come in towards the end that just completely deviate from everything we've been told about them as characters, and it started to get a little bit crazy and unbelievable at the end, which is interesting because the story probably started out as even crazier and unbelievable. It just, the promise at the beginning just didn't, it really petered out at the end in a way that really bothered me. Next book I'm going to talk about is A Scot in the Dark by Sarah MacLean. It's historical romance. So the first one I think was literary fiction, and then historical fiction, and this one is historical romance. I have read a couple of Sarah MacLean's and loved them. I mean, loved them. So this one, I was surprised to find I hated. Again, I found it boring as hell. I didn't like what the characters are doing. I thought it was really stupid. And like, I think what I don't like is I don't like the unworthy protagonist. I think that's a trope that just really bothers me. So this is, I don't even barely remember. I remember the things I was annoyed about it. There's this girl, she is in love with this artist dude. She poses for a naked picture. He then decides, the artist person decides he's then going to release it at the Royal Art Show. It's the one that, anyway, he, at the end of the exhibit, is going to show this picture of her naked. And obviously she's not married, so she needs to kind of figure that out. Then the person who she is the ward of, it's gone like through several dukes, like 11 of them. Finally, it's Alec, who's the Scottish friend of the girl in A Rogue Not Taken, which was fantastic. So then they proceed to spend the entire book trying to retrieve this painting, and then they sleep together, and every time they sleep together, he like leaves her because he feels like he's not worthy. I found it super tedious, very annoying. I don't like that kind of protagonist. I find that if someone is throwing themselves at you and they say that they want you, you should listen to that. So, not my fave. I don't recommend that. I found it really surprising. Next book I'm going to talk about is The Mermaid of Jeju by Sumi Hahn. The same thing with kind of The Lost Apothecary. The beginning of this one did not match the end. Now, this one had a stark change in the middle. This one followed a girl on Jeju Island just as the U.S. was kind of starting to, the Korean War was about to start, and so you started to get a little bit of that military influence and how her life is on the island of Jeju while all this is happening. Incredibly interesting, super good. And literally, it's like they take it at the most interesting part, and then literally the character, no, maybe I shouldn't say that, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it. So basically what ends up happening is you get the narrator that you have at the beginning, that stops halfway through, and you get that girl's husband who has nothing to do with anything in the first part. I was like, I thought that maybe she married someone off the island and they escaped together or some shit like that. No, this person is literally someone that she met, and then she like dies prematurely. Well, that was a spoiler. Okay, so then she dies and you get this like husband that's a narrator that has literally nothing to do with the beginning. And then you get this whole like spirit world versus actual world. And maybe because I listened to it, it made it more difficult, but I had to listen 2 or 3 times to even find out who was happening. Were they in the real world? Were they not? It was very convoluted. And the fact that not only was it convoluted, it had nothing to do with the original story that was actually interesting. I found this wildly frustrating. Also, there weren't even mermaids. Moving on. Finally, the worst book that I've read this year so far, and I think also this one is more offensive because the show was so good. You've heard me say it, I'm saying it again. The Duke and I by Julia Quinn was fucking terrible. It is the kind of book that makes me understand why people hate historical romance, which I think is sad because it's a genre that I've really come to love. And yeah, it's predictable. I don't even care. Yeah, sometimes the scenarios are fucking stupid. That's 100,000% accurate. The writing, is it the best? No. Who cares? They're good stories and I enjoy them. And also, I just enjoy them. So there's that. The Duke and I did not give me any of what I was looking for. I really dislike protagonists who only want to get married. I should just not say that. I'm gonna lie in some of these others. So maybe this protagonist in particular. I don't like when they give the, oh, I'm not like other girls, and then she acts like all other girls, if not worse. I find that offensive. So that was Daphne's character. There were several things that happened in this one. Obviously also because the Bridgerton show I really enjoyed, and I thought they did some really cool things. I wish they would have picked a series I like so much more than this. This was terrible. I hated every single one of the characters. Not one of them was redeemable in this book. They also they deviated from the story and in ways that didn't make sense. It also kind of made me dislike certain things in the TV show a little bit more. It was a waste of my time, and I so very much wish that I had not read it, actually. No, I mean, I guess it served its purpose, so I know what I don't like. That's not the best way to say things. Like, it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, I thought it was really terrible. I thought it was controlling. I thought the rape scene was wildly not good. It also didn't conclude well. It didn't circle back to it. It was not my thing. I have a video where I'm talking a lot more about that if you want to take a look. I will post it in the description below. Let me know what your thoughts are. I know a lot of people read The Duke and I for the first time this year, and I know there were a lot of, or at least I had heard from certain people that kind of felt the same way as I did. I would really like to hear if you like these. Like, I know my aunt read The Lost Apothecary and she thought I was totally wrong. Most of them really enjoyed it, which is great. I mean, you know, books are meant to be enjoyed. I am just a picky bitch. That's all right. So these are the books that I enjoyed the least this year so far. Maybe some of these will make my worst of the year at the end of the year. Maybe I'll read some even more terrible ones. Stay tuned. Thank you for being here, guys. See you next time.